The harp string under Cele Weir's tongue warms. When Tomas Ailbe exhales, and the sound inside him tastes like rain held too long in a closed fist, too low to hear at first, too deep for the ear alone. It moves through the floorboards of his workshop and into the thin bones of her ankles, then climbs, patient as ivy, until it presses behind her teeth. Cele keeps her mouth closed. Across the room, Tomas lifts one hand from the table. A chisel rolls toward the edge, caught in the tremor of that hidden note. He touches 2 fingers to the wood, and the tool stills before it falls. Something else passes through the table after his touch, softer than the curse, warmer. The grain of the wood answers it in one faint pulse, as if a shape under the surface has been asked its name and almost given it. "Forgive me," he says. His voice is almost gone, spent. Each word arrives with care, like a coin taken from an empty purse. Heat gathers at the back of Cele's tongue, where the harp string lies. The string is old gut and silvered thread, bitten soft from years of use. She has held it under her tongue for plague chants, knife curses, sleep songs, cradle maledictions, 17 in all. 17 songs swallowed and kept. None of them have tasted like him. The taste should be weighed, named, set aside. Instead, it opens behind her tongue like a door in a warm house. Applewood smoke, rainwater on harp gut, the breath before a note. For one unguarded second, Cele wants to keep it there. Wants to learn what kind of man can make wood answer without asking. Then the old habit closes over the want. The workshop smells of cold ash, beeswax, and dried apple skins. Every surface holds an unfinished instrument or a tool laid down with exact intention. Harp frames hang from the rafters. A narrow psaltery leans against the wall. Sheets of scored paper curl on a bench near the window, their ink lines warped by damp. Not one string sings. Tomas lowers himself back into the chair by the work table. The movement costs him. The curse answers with a hum that pushes into Cele's gums until her eyes water. "Don't speak," she murmurs. A small, dry amusement touches his mouth. "That is usually my instruction." The string warms again, not desire. Her body is reading magic. Her mouth knows curses through temperature and taste. And this one is alive with rain, iron, and an old sweetness gone sour. That is all. Cele steps closer. The floor gives beneath her boots with a tired complaint. Tomas watches the movement of her skirt hem rather than her face, which is kinder than direct looking. Most people stare at the throat of a song-eater. They wait to see where the swallowed things live. His hands rest open on the table, composer's hands, workman's hands, nails cut short, a scar across the base of one thumb, silver against weathered skin. She notices because his fingers shift toward a page covered in notes, then stop before touching it. The curse punishes wanting. A low tremor passes through the walls. Outside, something brittle taps the window. Not rain, dead leaves from the orchard, though it is spring. "I was told," Cele says, keeping her voice beneath the hum. "The village paid." "They did." "You agreed?" Tomas looks at the blank instrument frame between them. "I let them send for you." "Not the same." The curse tightens. Cele hears it now through the harp string, not as melody, but as pressure. A promise folded into a man's ribs, a woman's voice sealed in the undernote, soft with command. Never another. Tomas closes his eyes. The room changes temperature, not colder, emptier. The place a kettle leaves after boiling dry. Say yes, Cele murmurs, or I leave. A laugh starts in him and fails. The failed sound hurts the tools. A tuning key trembles in its tray, teeth rattling against brass. Yes, he says. Consent opens the first door. The string settles flat against Cele's tongue, and the song comes up through him, rain on a roof. A woman humming beside a hearth, a young man answering, foolish with joy. Then a hand closing over his wrist so hard the melody bends. Cele grips the edge of the table. The taste strikes deep, not poison, claim. A love song turned into a locked room. Her own swallowed songs stir at the back of her throat. The cradle curse rocks once. The fever hymn breathes smoke. The soldier's death chant uncurls like a ribbon soaked in wine. Hush, she tells them without sound. The harp string trembles between her mouth and him, carrying his curse into her taste and her blood back into the room's listening. Tomas watches her hand whiten on the table. Is it bad? Bad is a child's word. Bad is useful and small. This is not small. It is rooted. In what? Her gaze drops to his chest before she can stop it. A shirt of undyed linen hangs loose on him, open at the throat, where illness has made the skin too near the bone. Beneath it, the hum keeps pace with his pulse. Cele removes the string from under her tongue. The room loses one layer of sound at once, like cloth drawn over a bell. In you, she says. A breath leaves him. Can you take it? The professional answer comes first. It always does. Cut around the melody. Catch the carrying phrase. Swallow before the curse bites the host. Her mouth does not shape the lie. I can take what can be parted. And this cannot? Not cleanly. Outside, a branch strikes the window. Once again, then no more. Tomas nods as though she has handed him a piece of music written in a key he expected. His right hand moves to cover the papers, not from shame. Protection. The motion is small. It wounds her anyway. Cele takes one step back before the old hunger in her rises. She was trained to listen for the weak seam. Every curse has one. A place where grief frays, where spite repeats, where fear forgets itself. Put the string there, open the mouth, eat. This song does not fray. It holds him with the same force that keeps him breathing. I will need 3 days, she says. The number lands between them, heavy enough to hear. Tomas glances toward the window, where the orchard waits in its wrong spring. I may have them. You will. His smile is not hope. It is courtesy. That, Cele thinks, may be the first dangerous thing about him. By dusk, the workshop has learned her shape. The stool by the hearth takes the weight of her satchel. A basin on the floor holds black water from the first listening. The harp string lies curled in her palm, damp from her mouth, and warm from Tomas's curse. He sits on the floor because the chair no longer suits the work. Here, he asks, where you can breathe. That narrows it less than I'd like. Dry man, dying man, still making room for humor with death inside his ribs. Cele lowers herself in front of him. The boards are cold through her skirt. When she sets the string beneath her tongue again, Tomas's shoulders tighten. You have done this before, she murmurs. Been cursed? Been touched by listening? His eyes move to her mouth, then away. No. The hum swells. A jar on the bench cracks from rim to base. Beeswax spills in pale clumps across the wood. Careful, Cele says. With what? Wanting to answer. Tomas looks at the broken jar. 1 breath, 2. His hand curls against his knee. I spent most of my life answering. The confession is too early. The room knows it. The curse folds inward, and Cele tastes a woman's satisfied hush. Not yet, the song says. Cele leans closer before she has decided to do it. The distance between them narrows to breath and linen. Heat moves from his body into the cool around her lips. The harp string lifts under her tongue, eager and thin. Tomas does not move. A tuning peg on the bench gives a tiny turn by itself. No crack, no lash of curse. The peg settles into a truer tension, and the air beside Tomas's ribs warms by a narrow measure. The first phrase lies just beneath the sternum. Cele brings her mouth near enough to his chest to read it without contact. His breath catches, and the curse answers by changing key. No, the word is not spoken. It rings in the roots of the house. Her swallowed songs wake. A fever hymn presses behind her molars, wanting the heat. The bride's salt curse slides along the inside of her cheek. The oldest one, a millstone chant from a man who hated his brother, turns slow and greedy in her throat. Cele shuts her teeth around the string. Pain clears the room. Red liquid touches silvered thread, and the song opens. Toms makes a sound he tries to bury. Recognition threaded through pain. There, the seam. Cele reaches for it with the trained part of herself, the part that has survived by being useful. The curse resists. It presses closer to Tomas's pulse and takes its rhythm from him. Her hand lands on the floor between them. The curse surges toward her mouth. For 1 breath, she can eat it. All of it. The song, the promise, the soft command, the old love, the heart root underneath. Tomas would live. The part of him that turns toward warmth would come away in her teeth. Cele jerks back. The harp string falls from her mouth into her lap. Red darkens 1 bright twist. Tomas reaches toward her, then stops with his hand suspended over the cold boards. What did it show you? Her mouth burns. Speech costs more after red liquid. If I take it whole, she whispers, you will survive. His suspended hand lowers to the floor, where his fingers spread near hers. How much of me stays? Too sharp, that question. Too clear. Cele looks at the space between their hands, a finger's breadth less. Not enough. The curse hums with pleasure. Morning comes wet without rain. The orchard behind Tomas's house sweats mist from every branch. The ground gives under Cele's boots, soft and unwilling, and each step releases the smell of rotting fruit, though no fruit hangs yet. A ladder leans against the oldest apple tree. Its rungs have been worn by years of use. Tomas grips the side rail, not climbing, only keeping balance with an offended dignity that makes Cele want to scold him and steady him at once. Neither would be wise. This was my mother's tree, he says. Cele touches the bark. Cold, not winter cold, cellar cold, the kind that never expects sun. Under her palm, the tree hums in sympathy with Tomas's chest. It is not cursed on its own. It is listening to him fail and obeying. The harp string waits beneath her tongue. Bitter now. Red has taught it too much. Show me, she says. Tomas lifts his hand toward the trunk. It hovers beside hers, close enough that warmth collects between their knuckles. The tree hears the almost and shudders. A sound moves through the branches, dry leaves clattering where new leaves should open. Cele's palm sticks to the bark as sap rises cold under her skin. There, Tomas says, his voice brushes the back of her neck. He stands nearer than she thought, close enough that his breath changes the temperature beneath her ear. The orchard does not believe her. Tomas's hand shifts. His little finger brushes the cuff of her sleeve. For one breath, warmth travels through the cloth, and she leans toward that small pressure before she knows she has moved. The curse strikes. Every branch goes rigid. Sap hardens under Cele's palm. Tomas folds around a breath that will not enter him. Cele turns fast, catching his elbow before his knees fail. Contact. Heat breaks through his sleeve and into her hand. Not fever, presence. His body, alive under the curse, startled into wanting to stay. The harp string snaps against her tongue. A woman's voice rises from the song, close and tender as a mouth at an ear. Mine. Cele's swallowed songs lunge. The soldier's chant wants to bite. The fever hymn wants to smother. The cradle curse wants to rock Tomas into sleep forever. No. Cele pulls the string from her mouth and spits red into the grass. The orchard releases her palm. Tomas breathes, hard and shallow, bent over her hand, still locked around his arm. His other hand closes over her wrist, not trapping, asking. The curse snarls through the trees, making every dead leaf answer. Cele, he says. No one has said her name with that care in years. Most people lower it like a bucket into a well. He gives it back warm. Her fingers loosen. Tomas keeps his hand around her wrist one more breath. Then he releases first, his fingers open against pain. He sets his hand on the ladder rail instead, and bears his own weight badly, but by his own will. Good man, she thinks, and hates the thought, because it opens a place in her that has no scar over it. The promise, she murmurs. What exactly did you promise? His face turns toward the orchard gate. Beyond it, the village roofs lie low and gray beneath the mist. No one comes close to this house now. No more songs. Your words, my voice. The curse settles, listening. Tomas swallows. It looks painful. Lyra wanted one thing that no one else had. A song no one had heard. I was young enough to call that romance. Cele wipes the harp string on her sleeve. The silver thread remains stained. And after she heard me playing for a child at midsummer. His mouth tightens. A nonsense tune, nothing worth keeping. The old apple tree creaks above them. She cried until I promised. That was all? Tomas looks down at her hand, the one that caught him. No, of course not. Curses do not grow from one poor promise. They require tending. She made me sing the love song again, he says, only for her, every year, on the day I wrote it. The mist beads on Cele's lower lip. She tastes sour apple and cold earth. When she died, I was relieved. The song inside him drops so low, the grass trembles. Tomas closes his eyes. There, he says, Pasi. Kim sense that is the note that damned me. Cele knows better than to argue with a failing man about guilt. Guilt is a room with no windows. People furnish it for years and call it truth. The harp string goes quiet, not peaceful, waiting. You did not make the curse, she says. His lashes lift. Does it matter? Yes. The word leaves her too loud. All around them, the orchard flinches. Cele presses 2 fingers against her throat. Pain sparks beneath the skin, where 17 songs have worn grooves through her voice. Tomas hears the pain. She knows by the way his body goes still. What did it cost you? He asks. The answer waits behind her teeth with all the others. Instead, Cele turns toward the house. We have one more night. The threshold stone is warmer than the room behind it. It holds the day after the day has left, pressed into old granite by sun and countless feet. Cele sits there after supper, knees drawn beneath her skirt, satchel at her side. Tomas rests just inside the doorway, his back against the frame. Between them lies the line where house becomes outside. The village has gone quiet beyond the orchard. No carts, no children in lanes. No dogs barking at the wrong hour. Only the curse, too deep for common ears, and the trees answering under their roots. A cup of herb broth cools beside Tomas's hand. He has not touched it. Drink, Cele says. Command comes easily to you. No, practice does. That wins a breath of laughter. It costs him less than before, or he hides it better. Cele holds the harp string across her palm. It catches the last light in one dull place, where her red stain dried. Tomas watches the string. Do the songs speak? No. A lie, but not the wrong kind. His gaze lifts to her throat. The skin there is bare. She wears no charms, no collar, no scarf. Nothing between the world and the place where all those songs have made their home. They change you, he says. Cele rolls the string between finger and thumb. Yes. How many? 17. The number leaves her mouth with its own ache. Tomas breathes in, slow. The curse tries to take that breath and shape it into possession. He holds it until the note passes. May I ask what the first was? No one asks that first. They ask the worst, the strongest, the one that paid most. They ask whether it hurts, whether she can eat blessings by mistake, whether she ever hungers. The first. Cele looks toward the orchard gate, where mist threads through the slats. A girl who kept dreaming her dead sister's drowning, she says. The mother sang grief into both beds. She meant to comfort the living child. The song did not know the difference. Tomas lowers his head. No pity comes from him. That is the second dangerous thing. I ate the dream song, Cele says. Afterward, I could not sleep near water. Still, still. Her throat closes around the last word. The old river cold rises behind her tongue, though the song itself stays caged. Cele presses her thumb into the harp string until its twisted edge bites skin. The small pain gives the present back to her, warm stone under her body. Tomas breathing beside the doorway. No water except the broth cooling untouched. The curse inside him softens at the edge, curious despite itself. Tomas touches the threshold stone beside his hip. His fingers rub over a worn hollow in the granite. What happens when you sing? A laugh almost forms. Cele stops it before it can tear. I do not. But before is not a place she visits. It has too much air in it. A moth knocks once against the doorframe. Powder dusts the wood and vanishes in the dark. My father said I could call bees from a wall, she says. Tomas's attention changes, not sharper, lower. A note dropped into a bowl. Could you? No. Her mouth shifts despite itself. But I could make him believe I might. The smile that answers her is small and unguarded. The curse hears it. Pain cuts through Tomas so fast that his hand slams against the stone. The broth cup tips, spilling dark liquid across the threshold. Its smell rises bitter and green. Cele catches his shoulder before he can fold forward. "Breathe out," she murmurs. His body shakes under her palm. Linen, bone, heat trapped under failing flesh. "Tomas!" The name leaves her voice rougher than she means. His breath catches on it, and the curse tightens. "Do not answer it," she says. "Answer me." His hand finds her sleeve, cloth only. Still, the pull of him crosses into her body and settles low beneath her ribs. The harp string slides from her lap onto the stone. Cele leans close. Near his ear, the curse is not a hum. It is a mouth. Never another, never another, never another. Her own songs gather, 17 quiet tenants stirring in their locked rooms. The fever hymn warms her tongue. The millstone chant weighs the base of her throat. The drowned girl's dream song opens, cold and deep. Tomas turns his face a fraction. His breath touches her cheek. 1 more inch would be danger enough. The thought ends there because the curse gives her no room for a second. "Cele," he says again. This time it is not a plea. It is permission to choose against him if she must. She closes her eyes. The hum goes quiet for 1 breath. In that thin absence, she hears his true song. Not the curse, not Lyora's command, not the love song bent into a lock. Tomas's heart song is unfinished. It is a work table with tools laid out, a cup left near a window, an apple tree pruned even in a bad year, a hand stopping short because choice matters more than hunger. A note waits at the center of it, not for Lyra, not for Cele, for whatever life remains when no one owns the sound. The curse snaps back. Tomas convulses under her hand, and Cele tastes frost on the harp string, though it lies outside her mouth. She does not breathe. If she eats only the outer verses, winter will kill him. But he will have his full self until then. 4 months of breath, 4 months of choosing where to sit, what to mend, whether to look at her when the room warms. 4 months can be a life. Cruel thought, pretty thought, coward thought. If she eats all of it, he will live long enough for the orchard to fruit again. He will walk, sleep, work, thank her with a courteous mouth and no hunger in his hands. His heart will beat around a hollow place. He may even be happier. She hates that possibility most. The third path waits beneath the first 2. It has been waiting since the workshop, since his fingers stilled the chisel, since the curse tasted like rain, trapped where rain should not be. A song-eater swallows. A song-eater carries. A song-eater survives by making her body the last room where pain may live. Unless the songs can leave through something else. The harp string darkens on the stone. Her blood has dried into it. Tomas's breath shakes over it. The threshold holds both, inside and outside, house and orchard, taken and released. "Cele," Tomas says, nearly soundless. Her hand slides from his shoulder to his chest. 1 layer of linen between palm and pulse. The curse rises at the touch, vicious with triumph. It thinks she has come to eat. Maybe she has. "I can give you months," she murmurs. "Whole months." His eyes open. Too much trust there. Too little demand. "And after," her thumb tightens in the cloth, "after, you end yourself." no flinch, that nearly breaks her. Or, she cannot say the hollowing, not while touching the living answer beneath her hand. Or I take too much. Tomas's fingers close around the edge of the stone until the nails pale. No, you do not know. I know ownership when it wears a kind face. The words strike the curse. The hidden song lashes out. A low note cracks the doorframe from hinge to latch. In the orchard, branches knock together like teeth. Cele bends over him, body shielding nothing and needing to shield anyway. Tomas breathes against her temple. What is the third? The third is poverty. No village coin, no bedsides, no riders coming because Cele Weir can do what others fear. An empty throat, and no use anyone will pay for. The third is herself, if anything remains. She picks up the harp string. It is warm, not with curse heat now, with blood, breath, and threshold stone. The string has learned the space between her mouth and his pulse. I sing you out, she says. Tomas goes still beneath her hand. I thought you could not sing. I cannot keep what I sing. Understanding moves through his body before it reaches his face. She feels it under her palm, a small refusal gathering strength. No. A smile touches her mouth, painfully. Command comes easily to you. His breath breaks. Cele. The name nearly turns her aside. Gratitude warms. Warmth asks, asking roots. She sets the string across the threshold stone. The curse draws back. For the first time, it fears her. Good. Kelly opens her mouth. Nothing comes, of course. Her throat has been a locked house for years. 17 songs live there, and everyone has learned not to touch the door unless called by hunger. She presses her palm harder over Tomas's pulse. Listen to me, she murmurs. I am. Not with your ears. The old apple tree answers first. Roots under the house, sap under bark. Failed blossoms close tight against a spring that cannot feed them. Tomas shuts his eyes. His hand covers hers on his chest, skin to skin, where her fingers leave the linen and meet the rough warmth of his palm. The curse shrieks without sound. Pain punches through Cele's throat. The fever hymn bursts upward, hot enough to blind. She opens around it, and the first song leaves her. Not through her voice alone, through the harp string. The string lifts from the stone, curved by a wind that has no air in it. The fever hymn pours into the silver thread, then out across the threshold. The house exhales heat. In the orchard, mist steams from black branches. Cele gasps. Her throat burns clean in one strip. Tomas tries to pull her hand away. She locks their fingers. No! The second song comes colder. The drowned girl's dream song rises with river water in it. Cele's mouth fills with the taste of silt. Her body remembers years of waking dry-mouthed from waves that were not hers. Let it go. The song threads through the harp string. Outside, the dead leaves soften and fall soundlessly into wet grass. Another, the millstone chant grinds up from the base of her throat. Her jaw aches. Her shoulders bow under a hatred she has carried so long it knows the shape of her bones. Tomas's thumb presses into her knuckles. Not stopping now. Holding. One by one, Uatamu. The songs leave. The bride's salt curse. The soldier's chant. The cradle malediction that smells of milk gone sour. A fisher's knotted luck song, a harvest hex made from 7 women's anger and 1 man's lie. Each passing takes a piece of the voice that has not been hers for years. Cele shakes with it. The threshold stone scrapes her knees. Tomas's breath falters under her palm, then steadies, then falters again as Lyra's song fights for the center. The curse will not leave alone. It has grown clever in him. It hides behind his mercy, behind his guilt, behind the unfinished note that belongs to no one. Never another, it whispers. The harp string snaps taut. Cele tastes roses dried to dust. A closed room. A woman crying until a young man gives away the one thing he does not understand can be stolen. Poor Lyra, some soft part thinks. No, pity is not permission. Cele reaches for the last of her swallowed songs. Not a curse this time. A scrap she kept by accident from the first girl, after the dream song was gone. A sister's laugh caught underwater, small, bright, unowned. She has never used it. The scrap rises gently, and the curse strikes for it. Tomas makes a hoarse sound. His hand tightens over hers, then opens again, forcing choice back into his fingers even now. "Let me," he whispers. Cele looks at him. His face is close enough that she can feel the warmth of his breath on her mouth. Sweat cools at his temple. Pain has taken the careful courtesy from him. What remains is want stripped of taking. "Let me answer," he says. The curse recoils, a composer with no song left to spend. A man forbidden to sing, a throat almost closed by a past vow. Tomas inhales. Cele gives him the scrap of laughter through their joined hands. He does not sing with his voice. His pulse answers. Under her palm, the unfinished note opens. Not loud, not beautiful in any polished way. It is ragged and alive and his. Lyra's song surges to smother it. Cele bends close, mouth nearly against Tomas's ear. "No," she murmurs. The word carries the last of her. All 17 songs, the laughter scrap, the trained hunger, the name song eater, the room inside her throat where pain had lived for years. Everything moves through the harp string. The threshold stone cracks. Rain begins, not from clouds, from the branches, from the roof beams, from the work table where curled papers release beads of water, from the cracked doorframe and the basin and the dead leaves. Every place that has been holding sound lets it fall. The curse breaks open. No sharp burst, no bright power. Only a low command thinning into weather, then into earth, then into nothing that can be owned. The harp string drops to the stone. It no longer curls, no longer gleams. Dark runs through its twists as if fire has passed inside each strand. Tomas drags in one full breath. Cele hears it as the songs leave her. Then she hears nothing inside herself at all. Morning enters without asking. The workshop is full of rain smell and pale light. Somewhere, water drips into a basin at uneven intervals. Each drop lands alone. Cele wakes on the floor beside the threshold. Her hand is empty. No fever hymn curls behind her teeth. No drowned dream chills her sleep-worn tongue. No hidden choir waits under her ribs. Her throat feels newly built and poorly made, a room with all its furniture carried out. Panic comes quietly, not a cry, not even a breath, just her mouth opening and finding no inner crowd to hold it up. A blanket covers her shoulders. Tomas's blanket, rough wool, smelling of smoke and cedar shavings. She turns her head. Tomas sits on the threshold stone with his back to the doorframe. His eyes are open. His face is gray with exhaustion, but his chest rises, falls, rises again, whole. The word frightens her. The harp string lies between them on the stone. Dark now, burned through in places, no longer silvered. Cele reaches for it from habit. Nothing answers on her tongue. Of course, there is no taste from a string lying in daylight. No secret heat, no curse leaning close to be read. Her hand stops. Tomas watches the halt. His own hand rests beside the string, not touching it either. "I tried to carry you to the bed," he says. The voice is still faint, different, less guarded around the edges. Cele swallows. Her throat hurts. A sound might come if she asks it, a sound of her own. The thought is so large she cannot stand near it. "You failed," she says. The word leaves her above a murmur. Both of them hear it. Tomas closes his eyes. Not relief alone, not grief alone, something harder to name which makes it safer. Cele touches her throat. The skin does not feel changed. That seems rude of the body. After so much loss, it should mark the place. "What did I sound like?" she asks, his eyes open. "When?" "Before." The old answer would be careful, kind enough to wound. He would say she sounded brave or terrible, or like many people passing through one mouth. Tomas looks toward the orchard. "You sounded like doors being opened in a house no one had entered for years." A laugh scrapes out of her. Small, broken, hers. Pain follows at once. She presses fingers to her mouth, startled by both. Tomas smiles. No branch strikes the window. No note punishes him. The absence is not peace yet. It is space. Cele sits up slowly. The blanket slips down her arms. Every muscle objects. Her knees are scraped raw from the stone. Her mouth tastes of rainwater and red, but only her own red. "What did it take from you?" Toms asks. "Everything useful," she thinks. "If a rider comes tomorrow with coin and a child who cannot wake, Cele Weir will have 2 hands, 1 worn string, and no miracle for sale." She looks at Tomas's hand. He has not moved it toward her, not once since waking. The restraint is almost unbearable. "My trade," she says. His face changes with the cost. Not pity, not gratitude either. Those would be easier to refuse. "What remains?" he asks. "I do." The answer rises, bare and untrained. Cele does not say it. Outside, "Yo oso amis." The orchard stirs, not with curse, with rain slipping from branch to branch. The sound is thin at first, then layered by leaves newly loosened. Water gathers, falls, breaks on stone, gathers again. Tomas turns toward it like a starving man smelling bread. Cele hears what he hears. Nothing in her reaches to seize the sound, taste its seam, use it, or carry it away. This listening has no teeth, not song exactly, no melody that can be written and kept. Rain striking bark, rain threading grass, rain finding every hollow place and making no promise to stay. The new listening moves through both of them at once. His fingers twitch on the stone. Cele places her hand over his. Tomas goes still beneath her touch. Then, with the care of a man approaching a wild thing that has chosen not to flee, he turns his palm upward. Skin meets skin. Warmth moves slowly this time. No seizure of magic. no command beneath the pulse. Just his hand under hers, rough and alive, and her own hand choosing the shape of contact. A breath leaves Cele that may have been waiting years. "Can you hear it?" he asks. "The rain?" "The part under it." She listens. There, a root taking water, a cracked frame settling, the orchard deciding, branch by branch, whether to live. His thumb brushes once across the side of her hand, a question brief enough to refuse. Cele does not refuse. The room warms by a narrow measure. When his strength permits, they walk to the orchard gate. The path sucks at Cele's boots. Rain has softened the ground into dark paste, and the hem of her skirt drinks mud with each step. Tomas moves slowly beside her, one hand on the fence rail, the other hanging near hers. Near, the spent harp string rests on the threshold stone behind them. They left it there together, a darkened thing on a cracked step. At the gate, Tomas stops. Beyond it, the oldest apple tree holds bare branches against the gray sky. At the tip of one black twig, a green point shows, small enough to miss. Cele sees it because Tomas's breath changes. Rain falls through the orchard. Tomas listens with his eyes closed. Kelly stands beside him, her hand open at her side. After a moment, his fingers find hers. The rain keeps playing what no one owns.